This is Lou Rosenfeld with a new installment of the Rosenfeld Review podcast. And I am talking today with Jack Moffett. Hi, Jack. How you doing?
Hi, Lou. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you. Jack is someone many of you know from his book, Bridging UX and Web Development, came out a couple of years back. He is I guess you're just the guy who runs the UX team at InMedius.
Yeah, we're a subsidiary of the Boeing company. We were acquired just a few years ago, and so we've been kept as an entity. So we're actually a small company within a very, very large enterprise company, and I run a small UX team. So we're focused on a very specific set of software.
Great. Can you tell us anything about that particular line?
Yeah, we have a suite of tools that are all about authoring, managing, and delivering technical information. So think like maintenance manuals specifically for airplanes. So we have tools that authors use to author the manuals, then tools that are used to manage that data, send it through workflows, and then another tool that's for delivering that data, displaying the manuals for the technicians in the field on mobile devices.
So having your sleeves rolled up and your arms in the guts of tools for a suite of tools is probably in line with the topic we're going to talk about today, which is design systems.
Yeah, it really is.
Jack is the moderator and curator of one of the 4 themes at the Enterprise UX Conference that's happening in June in San Antonio, and it's on designing design systems. And Jack is working with 3 presenters. They've been talking for months already about what they're going to present on. And the 3 people are Nathan Curtis of 8 Shapes, Dawn Needy of Intuit, Nalini Kattamraju of Salesforce. And their 3 talks are all on design systems. So, I have an answer to this question, but I think yours would be far more interesting. What is it about design systems that is generating so much interest?
We're finding ourselves in this situation in enterprise where we have these small teams that are having to support much larger development teams on huge products and suites of products. And so finding a way that we can scale our contributions to the whole process and get a better product out the door at the end, something that's consistent across the line, and allow other people to contribute to that process more easily and still end up with a good result at the end. A design system, having a system in place, really helps that a lot.
So, is the audience for for the design system typically going to be developers or content people as well as UX people? How does it break out in terms of what you're doing there at InMedius, but also other organizations that you know of?
Yeah, it can vary a lot depending on the organization, of course. But the idea is that once you have a design system in place, you don't necessarily not every little thing has to be done by somebody on the design team, right? You can have other teams in the organization that are hopefully getting some input and oversight of the employment of the system, but will be able to do a lot of work on their own and still have consistent tools and applications that come out the end.
I guess one of the challenges, of course, is you're creating a suite of tools, but there's more to it than that, right? So if you have to create a context so people understand that these tools are out there and that they have value and that they have more value than maybe reinventing the wheel. But I imagine you also have to have something of a shared vocabulary with non-designers so that they can understand what's in a design system so that they can take advantage of it. And then even going kind of further, do you find that those people then change the way the design system is used in ways you didn't anticipate, maybe some ways good as well as not so good?
I expect so. It's actually one of the things that Nalini's going to be covering a lot in her talk. She's going to be looking at it from sort of from a sociology standpoint. She's been doing interviews with adopters and non-adopters to find out, what makes the system successful or more easily adopted. Why aren't people adopting them? What are the things that get in the way of that? In my own organization, one of the reasons why this theme is really interesting to me right now is that we're right in the middle of building our own system. We're in the thick of it, and we're doing some redesign on some products, which isn't something you get to do very often. And we're building out a design system from scratch. And so one of the things that we're really doing right now is working tightly with the developers to make sure that it's not just something that we can use, but that it fits into their workflow and that they can be consumers of. And so one of the things that helps that's a really important part of the design system is the documentation of the system and how you make that available to them, how people can access it, and companies like Salesforce and like Intuit that Nalini and Don work at, is that they've published on a website the complete design system with all of the rules and guides on how to incorporate the components.
So maybe walk me through this a little bit, because I don't work in an enterprise setting. How do they approach and start the process of socializing the design system in the first place? Is that a kind of missionary type of work where it just means grinding out conversations at a grassroots level, or are there typically maybe broader organizational initiatives that have the sponsorship of senior people?
Yeah, there's a lot of socializing that has to go on, and it's probably more of an issue at other companies than mine, because, like I said, while we're part of Boeing, we're still a pretty small group. And so it hasn't been too difficult for me to get buy-in from everybody. Everybody seems to see the benefits of it, and I really didn't have any resistance myself, which is a good thing. But yeah, that's something that's definitely going to be covered during the talks at the conference about who are all of the people, who are the stakeholders in this. And what are their concerns with it? How do you show the benefits of it and get buy-in from all of them?
I've got to think that the sense of ownership is not only something that changes over time, but that design people who may have developed the design system from the outset have to be prepared to begin sharing and ultimately giving up ownership for it to be important and used and believed in organizationally. It can't just be something that those design people run. Am I right? Or
right? And what does it mean to be a designer when you have a system in place, right? I mean, I'm used to being this creative person where I'm coming up with new solutions and better ways of doing things. And so even among the designers, there could be some reluctance to do this kind of thing, because once you put a system in place and you have these standards that you're expected to follow, a designer could feel kind of repressed a little bit on what they're allowed to contribute. And so where do you get the balance between having those standards and still having the ability to make improvements and keep not just maintaining the system, but improving it going forward.
So I know that Nathan Curtis's talk is touching on sustainability, and I know he's a little different than the other speakers in that he's taken a crack at design systems as a consultant rather than someone who's in-house.
Right.
Is that kind of what he's getting at in terms of sustainability taking the form of helping more people get a stake in ownership, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think he's going to be looking at it from start to finish, right? How do you get started? How do you build that ecosystem for it, right? Who's going to be building it? Who's going to be maintaining it? Who's going to be sustaining it? What are all of the things that the organization has to do to put that in place? And one of the big points that he's been making recently is that an organization needs to consider the design system as a tool that they're funding.
Is that analogous to, let's say, funding a large enterprise software acquisition? Either
acquiring or building yourself. Just the fact that it's something that you're investing in, right? That you need to put effort into it, and that you can expect to have some benefits coming from that.
Okay. And is that a change in perspective from how they often see it now?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, the service that the design team or the UX team provides within the organization, again, depending on the organization and the way it's set up, sometimes it's seen as a cost. If your UX team acts in a consultant fashion to projects within the organization. Sometimes it's just seen as a skill set, right? And so the products of that, the documentation or the specifications, the design work, it's just seen as artifacts of the process, right? But a design system really becomes much more than that. It's something that carries through much farther. It really does become a tool that the entire organization is able to use to increase the speed at which they're able to produce software, increase the quality of the software that they're producing. So it's, and the maintenance of it is a little more involved as well. So it's going to take a little bit more investment.
That's exciting because it sounds like that's one of those opportunities for design to kind of transform from something perceived as a ambiguous service to something that's more of a concrete product and that has more concrete value. So that's an interesting transition, and we're always looking for opportunities to do that in the design world. So that's great to see. Are there any in the conversations you've had, Nalini and Dawn and Nathan, are there any kind of common I don't want to say whines, but complaints maybe about where design systems tend to get tripped up the most, and maybe they've even got some solutions to helping people out through those barriers for design systems?
Yeah, I'm sure they do, and that's not an area that we've particularly discussed a lot so far to this point.
Clearly, it's going to be just a fantastic set of talks. I really like how the three of them are coming from very different perspectives. And I will say that we didn't have as much attention devoted to design systems at the first Enterprise UX. We had one talk by Dave Cronin at GE, and I don't want to say it was the best talk because there were pretty much all really strong talks, but it was one that Dave even ran a little long, and I think we could have left him up there for another 20 minutes and people would have been very happy because it's such an important topic. And I'm so happy to have you and the three speakers diving even deeper into the theme this June in San Antonio. I'm looking forward to seeing you there and hearing more from the three of them.
Yeah, it's a great group with really great experience and, as you said, an array of viewpoints. So we're going to get some really good coverage of the topic overall. I know you shared with me that David Cronin's talk was kind of the origin point for this theme. And one of the things that he said towards the end of his talk was that sort of their next goal at GE was to move into what he called full stack components, right? Where it wasn't just about the HTML, the CSS, the parts that the design team typically produces, but that it involves a much more integrated, much more integration with the development stack, so that you've got the JavaScript in there and you've got other stuff. And that's one of the things that Don is really going to be talking about, this idea of a full stack component that's involving an API and analytics and so forth, which is really exciting stuff.
Well, it gets better and better, and who knows, maybe the 2017 conference will have something dedicated to full stack design systems. We'll see. In the meantime, I appreciate you spending time with us today, Jack.
Oh, happy to do it, Lou. Really looking forward to the conference.
Well, we'll see you in San Antonio, June 8th through 10th for Enterprise UX 2016, and thanks again.
Thank you.